friends, and welcome back to the Aspiring Home Cook. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I whip up this delicious mutton liver masala. For today's video, I've used lamb liver, but you can definitely use mutton liver or goat liver for this. If you're trying to locate lamb liver here in Australia, you usually have these labeled as lamb fry. You can also just very simply ask your butcher for lamb liver, and I'm sure they'd be able to help you out. Now over here, I've got about 600 grams worth of lamb liver that I've cut into little bite-sized pieces. Now, over on the website, my recipe caters to about 250 grams of liver. So I've just gone ahead and about doubled all those quantities here. I'm going to start by marinating the lamb liver. It doesn't need to marinate for very long, so starting off with it is ideal. Start by seasoning it with a little salt, some black pepper powder. Your salt and black pepper powder can be added to taste. Then I'm going to go in with about half a teaspoon of ginger paste and a little more than that, so that's about 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic paste. I like to have the garlic in a slightly higher quantity to the ginger. If you're using a combined ginger garlic paste, just add 1 teaspoon of it. And then you're going to squeeze a little lemon juice or lime juice over the top. Now you're going to mix everything together so that all those pieces of liver have been coated with all the seasonings really well. Set this aside on your kitchen counter and continue prepping the rest of your ingredients. Now over here, I've got 2 bird's eye chilies. You can use just one if you want to keep it a little less spicy. I've got 2 onions that I've cut into half rings just like that. These slices are slightly on the thicker side, as are the slices of potatoes. So I've got 2 potatoes again here that I've peeled and cut up. Now I've got 2 tomatoes cut into wedges, like you can see here. I've got about 1/3 of a teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1 teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder. This is a fairly mild powder, so it won't add too much of spice. Again, you can choose to cut down a little bit on that chili powder if you want it milder. In addition to this, you're going to need a little oil to cook everything off in, and you may need to add some salt to taste. So we're going to start off by heating a pan on medium heat. Into the pan goes a couple of tablespoons of oil. Once the oil has warmed up a little, we're going to start by frying off our potato slices. So gently place the slices in the oil. I prefer to not overcrowd the pan, so I'm going to do this in a couple of batches. And you're going to fry these potato slices or wedges off until they're almost cooked through. Once your potatoes have developed a nice color on the bottom, you're going to flip them over and let them cook through on the other side as well. You want a nice hint of a golden brown on both sides. And once they've almost cooked through on both sides, you're just going to drain off any excess oil and take these pieces out onto a little plate or in a bowl and set them aside. Now once you're done with your potatoes, you're going to fry off your liver pieces in batches again. Don't overcrowd the pan, because otherwise your liver is just going to boil and poach and won't develop a beautiful almost caramelized crust on the outside, and that's what you're looking for. You can go ahead and add a little more oil to the pan as and when you need it. Now this liver tends to splash a little once it's in the oil, so you might want to stand back while you're frying this. Also, the liver cooks up really quickly, so I wouldn't cook it for more than a couple of minutes. So like you can see here, I've got a nice crust going on one side. I've just flipped them over. I'm going to cook it for about another minute or so on the second side. Drain off any excess oil and take them out onto a plate. Now at this point, the liver won't be 100% cooked through, but while it stands and rests while you prep the rest of your dish, and when you assemble your dish, this liver is going to continue to cook, so it will be done perfectly once it's all put together. Remember, if you overcook your liver, it can get quite rubbery and chewy, and that's not a very pleasant texture. So in the same manner, I'm going to cook off the rest of the lamb liver. When you're done cooking off the liver, you're going to continue assembling the dish in that same pan. What this does is it traps all that lovely flavor and infuses it in your final dish. So I've added a little more oil to the pan. Into the pan, I've put in those chilies, and I'm just going to saute those chilies for a few seconds to let them infuse a lovely flavor into the oil. Then I'm going to add the onion rings to the pan. Instead of just dumping all those rings in there, I'm just going to separate them out like you can see me do here. What I find is that this helps in even cooking and distributes those slices through your liver masala in a more uniform manner. And you're going to stir that through and let this cook off on a medium heat. You can instantly see that it picks up all those flavors from the pan, the juices from the pan, and starts developing a little bit of a color. We're going to continue sauteing these onions till they've softened a tiny bit. You still want them to maintain their crunch so that they don't fully dissolve into the dish. Now once I see that my onions have developed a fair amount of color and have almost started caramelizing on the edges, I know I'm ready to proceed with the rest of my ingredients. So into the pan I'm going to add in my turmeric powder, and I'm going to cook this off for about 10 to 20 seconds. Making sure that I stir that through thoroughly. In goes the Kashmiri chili powder, and I'm going to cook this off for a few seconds as well. Now, the chili powder doesn't require a lot of frying off because that burns really easily. So I'm just going to stir everything through and quickly add in my tomato wedges. Mix this through gently because I like to leave those tomato wedges whole as well. If you stir too vigorously, it tends to break down, and trying and keeping them whole leaves them with almost a little bit of a jammy consistency that goes really well with your masala. And what you can see me doing here is trying to give them a little space on the bottom of the pan just to char them a little bit and help them cook off. Now like you can see, the tomatoes have started to pick up a little bit of that color and get a little of that char going. So at this stage, I'm going to add in a little bit of salt. Remember, there's already salt in that liver marinade. You're just trying to season all the ingredients that's in the pan. Add enough salt to season the potatoes as well, because remember, we haven't added any salt to the potatoes yet. If in doubt, start off with a little salt. You can always check for seasoning later and add more. And in here, I've also added a touch more of black pepper powder. I find that seasoning tomatoes is extremely important to getting better flavor out of them. I'm going to give everything a light stir, and at this point, you're ready to add in your fried liver. I'm going to pop in all those pieces of liver and any of the juices that are left behind in that plate or bowl go straight back into the pan as well. That's where all your flavor is. And we're going to give everything a good stir to mix everything through thoroughly. Once you've mixed everything through, you can now add in those fried potatoes. And you're going to stir everything through to distribute everything well. Now remember, all of our components of this dish that we've added have already been previously cooked. So it really doesn't need much cooking time from here on. Just make sure that your liver has cooked through and your potatoes have cooked through. And at that point, you're ready to take your pan off the heat. Your mutton liver masala or your lamb liver masala is ready to be served. Now this liver masala pairs beautifully with some homemade chapatis, or you can even serve it with some crusty bread or alongside a lovely peas pulao. In the past, I've shared those recipes on my channel. If you haven't seen those yet, I'm going to leave you links to the chapatis and the peas pulao recipes right here. And that's it guys, your lamb liver masala or your mutton liver masala is ready to serve up. Now you know you've done your liver masala really well when all those components can be seen. You see those onion slices haven't completely broken down. The tomato wedges, some of them have turned a little jammy, some of them are more whole, but they haven't turned to a mush. And that liver is cooked through beautifully. I'm just going to cut into one to show you what it looks like on the inside. It's cooked all the way through, but at the same time, not chewy or rubbery at all. And that's what you've got to keep in mind. Make sure you don't overcook your liver. Everything comes together so quickly for this recipe and turns out to be such a delicious dish. I really hope you have the opportunity to try it out soon. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with family and friends. Also, if you're new here and haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to my channel, and once you do, click on that little bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. As always, I'll leave a link to the written recipe down in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you really soon with another delicious recipe. So till then, take care. Bye.